Hey, welcome to movie review number 3. As promised, we're going to be reviewing today the movie Legend. As you may know if you just saw my book review on Dragonlance Dragons of Winter Night. Now, this story, of course, is starring several people, most notable Tom Cruise, Tim Curry, even Robert Picardo from the Voyager. Excuse me. Edit here. 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to the movie review here on the Blue Horse Collective, episode number 3, and we are reviewing today the movie Legend, starring most notably Tom Cruise. I believe, if not his first movie, definitely within the single-digit range. He was still a relatively unknown person at this time. Tim Curry, famous for, of course, Rocky Mountain Horror Picture Show. Rocky Horror Picture Show, excuse me. I'll get it right in a minute. And Robert Picardo, famous for being the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager. And let's face it, secondary character in hundreds of movies. Look him up on International Movie Database. Internet Movie Database. You'll be amazed how much he's been in. He's just one of them guys. And of course, also co-starring Mia Sara as Lily, the love interest. Let's see. I'm using my little cheat sheet here on the phone. No one else that really stands out, so we'll just leave it at that. Now, the plot summary that you can find on here, of course, directed by Ridley Scott, is a young man must stop a Lord of Darkness from both destroying the daylight and marrying the woman he loves. Well, that pretty much sums it up. Now, and I don't know if you can make it out or not, but Tim Curry plays this character right here on the cover. That little devil-looking dude who turns out to be a big 10-foot tall devil dude, plus the horns. That's played by Tim Curry. And I tell you what, for years, before I realized, hey, if you read the credits, you can find this out, because you understand, I grew up watching this. This is one of the first movies I remember seeing on regular TV. I remember being at a babysitter's house, this is before I was even in school, and they were watching it on cable TV, which was a new thing back then. God, I feel old all of a sudden. Out there, hundreds of thousands of teenagers are laughing at me right now. Anyway, I remember walking in right at the part where he's walking out of the mirror and thinking that was the coolest thing I ever saw. And then, of course, the face saying, "Oh, get out of here! Oh, you'll have nightmares." Well, me being the little devious one that I wound up watching it anyway. I knew how to hide, and it was one of the best movies to date that I've ever seen. I have no way of doing this movie review without doing spoilers, so at this point, if you want to watch this movie for yourself without any spoilers, turn off the video, come back later after you've watched it. I think it's streaming on Netflix right now, so that'd be a good way to see it. Also, there's other shadier ways, such as YouTube, that you can search it out in parts and watch it there. This movie... well, you know what? We can get out of spoiler territory at first. First off, I recommend that if you're gonna buy this, especially get the director's cut. 2 reasons: there were parts of the story that, for the American version, for whatever reason, that they cut out, and even parts that were never quite finished that would have explained things a lot better. Also, you get the original soundtrack. I'm going to have to do a little bubble over here to say who did the original soundtrack, because I can't remember right now. Rather than the one that was put out on the American release, which was not bad, but, okay, Tangerine Dream versus this guy? Come on, give me a break. The original score was so much better. Changed the feel of the movie, made it it was a much shadier feel to it, in my opinion. Just really helped with the story. Only thing I can figure is they're Tangerine Dream fans. What you gonna do? The acting, not the greatest acting, but for this type of a movie, very appropriate. I was very satisfied with everyone's performance, even Tom Cruise playing Jack. Some of it feels forced, but, there again, this was... They were going for relatively unknown actors and actresses in this one. Matter of fact, Mia Sara, if I'm not mistaken, was only 14 at the time when they filmed this. And when I found that out, it led me to have very guilty feelings about it, because there's many times I was like, oh, hey, that woman's kind of cute. Then later on, finding out, I was like, wow, she was kind of young. But there again, I remember back when I found that out, I was probably, 16, because I finally had the internet. So I guess not as guilty as what I should have made it sound like. She was a cutie, though. Now, you also have the other characters in there. Tim Curry's character, Darkness, of course, who is basically the devil. Think of him as Sauron, alright? He is that evil force. Every nightmarish thing that you ever thought about the devil, that's his character. Of course, played by Tim Curry. And if it wasn't for the syntax of his voice and that shape of his mouth that is so unique, you wouldn't be able to identify him. This guy is from head to toe, and even wearing some of the earliest contacts to make his eyes look more bestial that you've ever seen. You would not recognize him. They even put his voice through a modulator to make it deeper, to make it resonate, to make it deeper and more evil sounding. And it's just those very subtle things that make you identify and go, that's Tim Curry. I never would have guessed it. That's awesome. And he does a spectacular job. Maybe one of his best roles ever. And I've seen several movies with him in them, and he's got some good stuff. He's got some real crap too, but hey, who doesn't? But he nailed this character. He'll give you nightmares in all the best ways, boys and girls. Just unbelievable performance on his part. The rest of it is pretty much a very cliche fairy tale type story, but it's very... You're left very satisfied. Now, we're going to enter into spoiler territory here. Long and the short of it, Jack is the forest child. He's the wild boy running around the woods, kind of like a ranger, if you will. And he takes care of all the animals. They turn around, take care of him. Mia Sara plays Lily, who is... It's implied that she's a princess. Okay? If nothing else, we know she's very high, noble society. But you see her, she's out talking with the peasants, and she's friends with them. So she's one of them real nice ones, not I'm better than you. She also has a very deep love interest with Jack, who she finds fascinating. Jack, in the meantime, as a gift to her, says, hey, I've got something special to show you. And he takes her to go see the unicorns. Well, she breaks a cardinal law. You don't touch a unicorn. It upsets the balance, makes the unicorns vulnerable, and wouldn't you know it, Darkness has sent out his group of goons under the command of Blix, who is a guy played by a woman. A lot of transgender roles here, and I'll get to the next one here in a minute. And they wind up shooting the stallion with a poison dart made out of a giant mosquito dipped in poison from a frog's gut. Yeah, it's pretty weird at that point, but visually it's awesome. Anyway, poisoned that one, cut off its horn. Now all of a sudden, oh boy, no more summer, no more spring. Now there's only winter and death. Well, move forward. Everyone's guilty. Oh my God, what have we done? Jack blames himself. The elves of the forest hold him accountable, and then last minute he goes, oh no, it was for love. And then there's a whole scene that's just wonderful there. But long and short, they say, okay, we'll help you fix this. Lily, in the meantime, has already run off trying to make it right. The mare, however, is still intact. She still has her horn. So the rest of the movie is centered around the capture of the mare and then the sacrifice that they're going to do for the mayor. Because with a woman, there always lies rebirth. Therefore, with the mare, always lies the dawn. Now, light is darkness's destroyer. And not only in a literal sense, but also with the spiritual sense around this character. He is the embodiment of darkness and evil, okay? Just like the unicorns are the embodiment of life and rebirth. For darkness to take over, he must destroy both the unicorns, and to make it permanent, he must take on a bride. Thus where Lily comes into play. So now you have the demon going for the princess and trying to destroy everything good. Wow, what a setup, right? Now, of course, the story winds up revolving from then on. It's about the interaction of the goblins getting the unicorn back to darkness, and then the ritual to destroy it. The group of heroes made up of Jack, Gump, the Forest King, I guess, a very childlike elf, very entertaining for that matter. Then there's the two gnomes that are with them. You have Brown Tom, who's basically the drunkard comedic relief, and Screwbar, even smaller comic relief. And then there's Luna, the fairy, who I cannot remember who the actress is for that, so bubble here for that. And she's an interesting character. There's a little attempted love triangle involved with her that is unsuccessful, but for all the right reasons. Don't read too much into that comment. I'm going to leave that for you. It's very interesting to see what they did with her character. And then towards the end, I mean, I can understand why they did it, but I felt almost like they left it unresolved. But there are plot holes in this movie. I'm not going to lie to you. There are things that could have been filled in that simply weren't. I guess they were just left up to the imagination of the viewer. And I can understand that. I'm not going to hold too much against them. It's a good enough movie where I can easily forgive it. And in the end, of course, with the way it is, I think it's very appropriate. I've seen this movie described as it has all of the things in every poster on every adolescent girl's wall in the 1980s. Unicorns, princesses, and fairies. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I ain't gonna lie to you. But it's a good story. It's a feel-good story at the end. And it's not too bubblegummy to leave you with a sticky feeling or anything like that. Like, yeah, I don't like watching this. It holds your interest. It has, whereas it's cliche plot twist, they're good plot twist. It'll hold your interest. You'll enjoy this. It is the kind of movie that you kick back, if you're not necessarily wanting a comedy or something like that where you have to go duh and watch it, but you want to kick back and have an easy to watch movie, do this one. I consider it on the level of, say, The Princess Bride, as far as being an adult fairy tale. And not meaning that in the way of like the series of Once Upon a Time. I mean, it's just presented in a way that an adult can appreciate it, but whereas your child can too. I would say this is probably not suitable for children under probably 5 or 6, but at the same time, if they're sitting there with you, watch it in the afternoon when it's daylight and they'll be just fine. You sit there and snuggle on the couch and ooh, that's spooky, huh? And they'll love it. Oh my god, I'm turning into such a dad. Scale of 1 to 5, I definitely give this one 5 stars. It is within my top 5 movies. Yeah, that good. I love this flick. I believe you will too. Sit down with the kids and watch it. I would not leave them in the room to watch it by themselves, especially if they're young children. But I think everyone will get enjoyment out of it. It's much better than what you'll see on daytime TV anymore. There's nothing disgusting. There's nothing gross. There's definitely no gore. And the story, well, you know, I mean, it's just that typical folklore-rich story that I think everyone's craving at this point. And I think some of the series on TV right now, like Once Upon a Time and Grimm, are showing that. Although it's not presented in that way. This is a true fairy tale from beginning to end in every description of the way. But it's presented in a much more classical way. This is not a Disney fairy tale, is what I'm trying to say, where it's all kiddie. Alright, I guess if it came close to anything, it'd be Sleeping Beauty, one of those early ones where it was a movie and it had some really dark content in it. But at the same time, it was still geared to be interesting to adults. They weren't trying to appeal strictly to children. And this movie mastered that. It hit it perfect. Like I said, on the level with Princess Bride as far as being appropriate for everybody. Although, whereas Princess Bride was much like Shrek in that it was making fun of the fairy tale and in turn itself, this one is a more serious take on that, saying, here's a legitimate story with legitimate issues, love, jealousy, the darker parts of our psyche and how they play out through temptations and the consequences of that, and put in what is a serious setting that is given to you through the archetypes of a fairy tale. So, wow, okay, yeah, that actually made sense once I got it out. That's a miracle. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that before I get too rambly here. Like I said, I highly recommend this movie. This is one of the few where I'm going to say, go out and buy it. I am that confident that you're going to like this movie that I would say, you know, if you see it at the store, you know, well, if at all possible, get the director's cut, which is very obvious because it comes in this black cover with the flap here. This is the way to go. Watch the director's version first. Then you watch the dumbed down American version that we all got and you'll understand. But great, great flick. Run, don't walk. Go get it. I'm going to leave it at that. This is Blue Horse on movie review number 3 for Legend, signing off. You have a great one, and I look forward to doing another movie review as soon as I can. Take care.